Think about your typical workday for a moment. Ever feel like you're just constantly doing just task after task, deliverable after deliverable, without really stopping? Like you're maybe stuck on a treadmill, running really fast, but, not actually getting anywhere new.
Oh, absolutely. That feeling is incredibly common.
Right. You're definitely not alone if you feel that way. So many of us operate like this, viewing reflection, actually stopping to think as some kind of luxury we just don't have time for.
Hmm.
And maybe for some kinds of work, really simple, well-defined stuff where the best practices are super clear, maybe that always-on approach feels efficient.
Yeah, like in traditional project management, maybe a waterfall approach
Right.
where things are very sequential. Step one, step two.
Exactly. For those simple projects, perhaps. But here's the catch. The moment we step outside that really narrow band of simple work, anything with uncertainty or complexity,
Which is most product and service management these days.
totally, that always-on mindset becomes incredibly limiting, kind of locks us into stagnation, right? Prevents real growth, real innovation. Okay, so let's unpack this. Today, we're diving deep into why reflection isn't just like a nice to have. It's absolutely essential for genuine improvement and sustained progress.
It really is.
And we'll explore how two really powerful, timeless frameworks, the PDCA cycle and the scientific method, give us solid guidance to break free and achieve that sustainable growth.
And what's fascinating is how fundamental they are.
Right. They're not just academic ideas. They are effectively the roots of the Agile approach, especially relevant, as you said, for product or service management in this world of constant change. So let's kick off with PDCA. Plan, do, check, act. It's usually shown as a continuous loop, right? Designed for iteration and improvement. But what's really going on in each step?
Yeah, great question. It sounds simple, but there's real depth.
Yeah.
First up, plan. And this isn't just making a quick to-do list.
Oh.
It's about crafting a clear, actionable strategy that's tied to a specific goal or a problem you're trying to solve. So, say you're trying to improve customer onboarding for a new product. Plan means identifying the metric you want to move, like first week engagement,
Right.
then forming a hypothesis, a guess, about why the current onboarding isn't hitting the mark, and then outlining the smallest measurable steps you can take to test that idea. Without that focused start, the rest just lacks direction.
So real intentionality from the get-go, not just activity for activity's sake?
Yeah.
Okay, then what about the do phase?
Exactly. Then comes do. This is the execution part, taking those carefully planned actions with intent. The goal here isn't like instant perfection. It's about making small, meaningful steps forward, knowing you'll adjust as you learn.
Uh-huh.
Think of a software team maybe releasing an MVP, a minimal viable product, or a marketing team running a small A/B test.
Got it.
They're doing with a clear purpose, gathering real-world data, but also expecting to learn. Knowing that first attempt is rarely the final one. It's deliberate movement, not just churning things out.
Okay, and now we hit the phase you flag as super critical, the check phase. I suspect this is where a lot of teams stumble.
Oh, absolutely. They really do. Check is, well, it's probably the most skipped, yet it's utterly critical. It's that deliberate pause, a moment to rigorously review what actually happened.
Not just what happened, but why.
Precisely. You're not just looking at the outcome. Did sales go up? Did engagement drop? You're digging into why things worked or didn't.
Yeah.
So if sales went up, was it actually your new campaign? Or was there some external market thing you hadn't considered?
Right. Correlation isn't causation.
Exactly. Both your wins and your failures hold incredibly valuable lessons for the next cycle. This isn't just about collecting data points. It's about dissecting it, turning raw data into actual insights, understanding the story behind the numbers.
That makes so much sense, really getting to the root cause, and then ACT pulls it all together.
Spot on. Finally, act. This is where those insights from check get transformed into specific, concrete steps you can actually implement. This is where the improvement really lands.
Because without action.
Right. Without that commitment to act, even the best reflection is just, well, theoretical. It's an academic exercise. That's why you see successful teams really commit. They aim to implement at least one, maybe even three, concrete improvements after every check phase.
Ah, okay.
And those new actions then feed right back into the plan for the next iteration. It creates that genuine, continuous loop of progress.
It's really methodical when you break it down like that. But here's where it gets, I think, really interesting. How closely this mirrors something even more fundamental, doesn't it? Something that's driven human progress for ages.
It's uncanny, isn't it?
Yeah.
The scientific method, the absolute bedrock of discovery for centuries. It mirrors PDCA so closely.
Oh.
Well, think about how science works. You start with observation and questioning. That aligns perfectly with plan. You notice something, ask why it's happening, strategize how to understand it, and form a hypothesis, a testable idea.
Okay, so observing a problem or opportunity, that's like my plan. What's next in the scientific parallel?
That hypothesis then leads directly to experiment, which is your do phase. You
Yeah.
deliberately test your idea, you collect data, you document everything carefully, controlled execution.
Right.
Then comes analysis, which is a direct mirror of check. You meticulously examine the results, what worked, what didn't, and critically, why. That rigorous reflection generates those deep insights. Just like in PDCA, you're learning from the action.
And the final step, the conclusion, must map to act.
Exactly. Conclusion connects right to act. You determine if your hypothesis held up. And crucially, what actions does this new knowledge suggest for the next cycle? Maybe the hypothesis was wrong. That's still learning. It informs a new hypothesis. So each conclusion often sparks new observations, keeping that cycle of learning and improvement going. What's really striking is they both share that same core. Reflection, experimentation, continuous growth. They remind us that just hitting an outcome isn't the whole story. We have to learn from how we got there. That analysis in science, the check in BDCA, they both rely on these iterative cycles to build knowledge and drive progress.
It sounds incredibly powerful, but also rigorous. Some might argue, in today's crazy fast environment, taking that deliberate check time, maybe multiple times, actually slows you down. How does this fit with Agile, which is everywhere in product and service management now?
Yeah, that's a common pushback, but it actually misunderstands the core of Agile. This iterative approach aligns perfectly with the Agile culture.
Okay.
See, Agile operates specifically in environments with uncertainty, ambiguity, constant change. That's its sweet spot. Unlike, say, traditional waterfall project management with its fixed plans, Agile needs flexibility and rapid feedback loops precisely because things are unpredictable.
So the learning is the speed, in a way.
In a very real way, yes. The experience you gain in one short iteration is absolutely vital for increasing your odds of success in the next one. Agile isn't about achieving some mythical perfect state in one big bang.
Right.
It's more about maintaining a mindset, a state of consistent progress through these deliberate improvement cycles. Plan, do, check, act, over and over. And embracing that iterative mindset fosters continuous learning, adaptability, resilience, precisely what modern product and service teams need to handle complexity and deliver value effectively.
A mindset of consistent progress, not chasing perfection. I like that framing. Thinking about these cycles building on each other, what stands out most to you about that continuous process?
For me, it's the compounding effect. Small, consistent improvements add up exponentially over time, but it requires discipline across all 4 stages.
Which brings us to the pitfalls. Let's talk about what happens when teams cut corners, especially skipping check or act. Maybe you've been there, you're in a retrospective, great ideas surface, everyone nods, and then nothing. Nada. The team just dives into the next batch of work.
Oh, definitely seen that. And when that happens, the PDCA cycle is just broken. It's fundamentally flawed. And honestly, all that time spent in the retrospective, it's wasted.
Demoralizing, I bet.
Hugely. Nothing kills engagement faster than seeing good insights just ignored. Imagine a product team having a really honest retro. They identify, say, that their work in progress, their WOP, is way too high, causing bottlenecks.
Yeah, common problem.
Right. Everyone agrees, okay, next sprint, we'll limit our WIP to 3 items max. But then the next sprint starts, and the limit isn't enforced. New tasks pile up. The bottleneck is still there, maybe worse. What happens to morale then? Pretty soon, those retrospectives feel pointless. They become just another meeting to endure a checkbox. Teams don't have time for that, and that wasted effort turns disengagement into resentment, even resistance. It's a surefire way to lock a team into a stagnating Palando loop. No check, no act, just churning. It completely undermines growth.
The treadmill to nowhere for the whole team. Exactly what we started with. And this feels especially critical now, doesn't it? With AI starting to accelerate everything. AI can boost our execution speed, efficiency, reliability.
It absolutely can. And that increased pace is amazing, but it also carries a significant risk.
Which is?
Without clear direction, and critically, without deliberately pausing to reflect and analyze, we can easily lose sight of the bigger picture. We run the very real risk of, building a better horse, faster, more efficient horse building than ever before.
Instead of inventing the car.
Exactly. Because we didn't stop to look up, to analyze, to check our assumptions, to question if building a better horse was even the right goal anymore. The profound insight here, I think, is that PDCA and the scientific method provide that crucial balance. They allow for rapid execution and thoughtful reflection. They keep us aligned with our goals while navigating complexity. They guide us towards continuous improvement with each cycle. And continuous improvement, remember, isn't usually about massive, sudden overhauls. It's about those small, regular cycles of learning and adaptation. Plan, do, check, act. Each little improvement builds on the last, creating exponential growth over time.
Applies everywhere, too.
Totally. Individuals refining workflows, product teams iterating features, entire organizations shifting strategy. PDCA and the scientific method, they're really mindsets. They teach us to embrace curiosity, reflection, and action as just part of how we operate. And as AI supercharges the do phase, we're on the verge of potentially huge benefits. But only, and this is the key, only if we commit to that investment in iterative improvement. Check and act become even more critical.
So, wrapping this up, what does this all mean for you listening, for your work, your team? If you're feeling inspired to try this, maybe just start small. In your next team meeting, maybe for your product or service, don't just plan and do. Make reflection that check phase an explicit, non-negotiable step.
Yeah, schedule it. Protect that time.
Exactly. Think of it like an investment, like saving for retirement. Small, consistent deposits. They yield massive returns down the line. Commit to implementing at least one concrete improvement, the act phase, during your next iteration. Build that habit of completing the full PDCA cycle. And just watch. Watch how your effectiveness, your team's adaptability, your growth really starts to accelerate.
And maybe this raises a key question for you to reflect on right now. Take a moment. Think about your current processes, individually or as a team. Are you truly engaging in all the phases of PDCA? Especially check and act. Can you see the real, tangible value in deliberately pausing, reflecting, and then acting on those insights? What opportunities for improvement might you be missing? What stagnation might you be creating by skipping that reflection step? How could embracing PDCA, embracing that scientific method mindset, help you or your team work smarter, not just harder? Help you innovate, not just execute? Definitely something to chew on, maybe even discuss with your colleagues. You might be surprised what comes up.
We really hope this deep dive has sparked some powerful insights for you about the importance of reflection and true iterative improvement.
And if you found this useful, we definitely encourage you to check out the source video that inspired this discussion. You can find the link for that and some other helpful resources right there in the description below.
Thanks so much for joining us for this deep dive. We look forward to continuing your journey into knowledge with us next time.